Hello, hello. Wow. Okay. English, is that good for everybody, or does somebody need translation? We're good? Oh, that saves me so much time. I have so many things to say. First of all, my name is Hans van Soest. Don't try to pronounce that, please. You murder my name. So I'm from Holland. I'm very Dutch. I'm more Dutch than cheese is. Okay, after I became a Christian, the Lord called me for television and video production. And He called me when I did not like that. I protested. And what I didn't realize is I was scared. I was really scared for the scary world of television production. I had seen some camera with those big mamas on their shoulder, you know, and I thought, oh boy. And I was scared of the fierce competition, etc. So fear has been a big thing in my life. It took 5 years after I felt the Lord called me for video production before I first started. I had a real big problem because the first time I started in video, it was with a mission organization. And they just showed me in the room with all the equipment. And then they said, mixer, audio mixer, camera, monitor 1, monitor 2, monitor 3, switcher, faders, bye. That was my training. So it lasted about 4 minutes, my training. So I had to start from zero. And I was in that mission for many years and I learned so much. We traveled all over the world and it was wonderful. It was a really wonderful experience. Later I got into broadcast and I learned to lose my fear. Because if you are doing video, very quickly you'll meet somebody who is much better than you know? And if you haven't met anybody who is much better than you, well, wait another day and then you will meet somebody who is much better than you, okay? So that is, that is a given, almost. But I learned when God calls you, there's nobody who can stop you. I was telling this story. I was one day in a hall room and I had been to the bathroom and there was nobody in the hall room and I suddenly felt the Holy Spirit say, Hans, pay attention. So I stopped and I said, to what? And I saw this lady go into the, who passed me and went to the director's office. This was in the secular television world. So I just sort of sneaked to the door of the director. And I was just like, I was listening to what was happening, you know. And knew God was at work. And I heard her say, sorry boss, I cannot be your director assistant anymore. And he said, well, that's horrible. In the middle of the season, are you crazy? Are you leaving me? She said, yeah, bye. And she walked out. So I just waited a minute and I walked into the boss and I said, boss, I have a great idea. I said, what if I become your director assistant? And he said, well, that's a coincidence. Yeah. And I said, isn't it? Yeah. And he said, you're hired. So I was hired. One tiny little problem. I didn't have a clue what a director assistant did. You know? I thought if God calls me, who can stop me? Basically. So I came to the first shoot, sorry, not a shoot, that's not, the first filming, yeah? And it's about 40 people personnel for national television. And I walked in and they said, who are you? And I said, I'm your beautiful new director assistant. Because I learned that most of them were ladies, director assistants. So they said, really? Yeah? So I stood there and I thought, okay, God, tell me what to do. And somebody came to me and he said, the stickers and the tapes and the hard drives are over there. So I figured, probably the stickers need to go on the hard drive. Okay? Yeah? That was, okay, that I can do. Sticker, done. So it went all the way. Nobody ever discovered I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And actually, within 2 weeks, I became the best director assistant they could ever come up with. I was losing my fear of failure. Yeah? Big one. In fact, I think one of the demonic things behind media is intimidation. It's a whole spirit of intimidation, the whole atmosphere. If you walk around in television crews, there's a lot of ego and there is a lot of intimidation. And you just have to overcome it by God. Okay. I am now a media missionary, and I've done this for 35 years, mostly in the Muslim world, which is the most successful Christian media world in the world, basically. Governments are scared stiff of this. They're really scared of Christian media. They try everything. I mean, the things that I've seen in 35 years of the enemy trying to stop me is just beyond belief, almost. And I escaped death many times. And God pulled me through everything. In the middle of the war in Algeria, where 10,000 civilians died, it lasted for 9 years, I started doing television production in the basement. It was a tiny little room. It was so small that we had to say, okay, you breathe, and then we breathe. Okay? There's not air enough for all of us to breathe at the same time. So, I'm exaggerating a little, but anyway, we crammed 4 cameras and a crane into this tiny basement. Well, outside, I heard firecrackers, and later that day I found that just in the street behind us, they stopped a bus and shot 36 people dead, and which was a daily occurrence. And that's how we started making Christian TV. When we started airing this, it was front page news on about 12 different newspapers in the country. The parliament came together to discuss the fact that somehow there were so many Christians and now they have their own TV station. We became a national threat, and I like that. Yeah? And because that's our place. We are very threatening to the devil. And okay, I'm very much, I'm very much impressed to talk about what is said in Luke, where Jesus says to the big crowd that is following him, if you want to follow me, you follow all the way. So you better count the cost. Because it's kind of stupid to start building a house and stop at the first level or at the foundation and then have no more money to do it. That's Jesus saying this. Are we on? Where? Oh, there. Hey. Technique. Okay. I go back one moment. Okay. Yeah. There is. I love it. Okay. This place has got its things together. By the way, is there anybody here who has an iPhone on him? You have an iPhone? Okay. Can you move away from him a little? Yes? And do you have Filmic Pro, that app on your iPhone? Is there anybody who has Filmic Pro on it? Okay, move away from him. Move away, because that guy is dangerous. He's got dynamite in his pocket. Yes? And be careful. Yeah, we have the true dynamite, and he's got it in his pocket. So I'm kind of scared for him. Okay, video production. Yay. Why? Now, I'm so surprised. I always find when I travel around the world, and travel around the world, I mean, I worked in Western Africa, Southern Africa, North Africa, Middle East, Gulf, and where else? Oh, all the Eastern European countries. And all of them had either national television or satellite or doing new media. So when I traveled around, I was always surprised how many hobbyists I found. They had this fun hobby, and that was video. And now they're doing something useful with it, you know? And which is I never did video out of a hobby. I mean, it nearly cost my life many times. So it's not a hobby, you know? So I am, yay. Okay, read this. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Now, this is the, what translation is it? NIV translation. So, I have another translation. In the same way, let your videos shine before others, that they may see your good productions and glorify your Father in heaven. Now, this is the HIV translation, which means Hans International Version. Okay? So, we need to, another text here that really speaks to me. If the axe is dull and its edge is unsharpened, more strength is needed. But skill will bring success. You cannot stay on the same level. You need to do something about your skills. Okay? Suddenly nothing happens. Okay. What type of productions are there? Now, when we talk about video, that's just a general term. It's like, I have a pet at home, and they say, well, what kind of pet? And you say, well, it's an animal. Yeah, duh, huh? You need to be a little bit more specific. And that's the whole thing also with video, because there's so many different types of video. Okay, let's name them. Okay, the outputs. Let's first start with the outputs. Television. Okay, satellite. YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, there's a whole number of others that I didn't mention. I like the guy who stands like this. He's a good guy there. Okay, what's this? Streaming video. Okay, now, what type of productions are there? There's talk shows, multi-camera. Multi-camera means that you have 4, 5, 6 cameras, okay? Multi-camera starts with me with 4 cameras. Why? Because I hardly ever see on normal television a 3-camera shoot, filming. Yes? And it's probably only 5% of what I see on television is done with 3 cameras. So it's low end. And so immediately your viewer will see that you are Mickey Mouse Productions. Okay? We have talk shows. Multi-camera on location. You can do a talk show on location. You don't need to have a studio. Okay? So there is music on stage, multi-camera. There is single camera music videos. I did a whole number of those. In fact, in Egypt, they had the tradition that dancing was sinful. Anything that moves a hip is belly dancing, and belly dancing is sinful. Okay? I'm very sinful. So what they do, when they want to have music videos on the screen, they take a broomstick and they swallow the broomstick so you cannot move. Yes? And then they film them with 2 cameras ping pong. And they don't move. And they stand on stage like that. So we were getting so sick of that, we thought, why don't we do music videos like real music videos? Music videos are a very inefficient way of making video. It takes about 2 days preparation, sketching, thinking. It takes about 3 to 4 days. You film about 100 shots, and it takes about 7, 8 days to edit that. And then you have a 3-minute video. So not the easiest way to do that, okay? So relatively speaking, it's pretty expensive. So, and of course there's YouTube. Now, documentaries can of course go on satellite and on television, but it can also go on Facebook or YouTube. Or you can stream it as part of what you're doing. So they all overlap with each other. There was, a while ago, there was a whole discussion, no, we should stop all the big television productions and move everything to the internet and do streaming and do YouTube. Because that's the new way. Which is kind of silly, because everything you do on TV, you can do on YouTube. So it overlaps, okay? There's another one. Oh, teaching videos. Now, they are, of course, for the cameraman, the most boring thing you can ever do. Yeah? Your challenge is not to fall asleep if you're filming teaching. But don't knock it. Because in many nations around the world, and I'm trying to think strategically, okay? The only way to explain the gospel to all these churches that are remote somewhere, they only have one speaker, and that's the pastor. The only way to get some real food, spiritual food, is watching teachers on the internet. So it becomes a vital part of the growth of the church. Okay. Church videos, all kinds of videos that the churches need, maybe the whole, or maybe something like this, you know, that's a whole different kind of thing. So if you are an expert in making documentaries, there's a good chance you suck at making church videos. Yes? If you are making nice YouTubes, 4-minute YouTubes, you may suck at making documentaries. Okay, so you have to realize that. If somebody says, I have experience in video, I would always say, what? What experience? Well, I made commercials. I said, well, that's a little bit different than a church video. Sir, no? Yes? Okay, now, we have to start understanding the character of video. Video, you have to understand this. Video is very different than radio. Video is very different than the written word. Video is very different than the spoken word here. It has its unique qualities. And you have to start understanding this. If a church is wanting to move to video, and many do, I mean, there are about 4,500 evangelical churches in a small country like Holland, and I think of them, 1,700 are online. So it's the thing to do. But you have to understand how video communicates. Okay, video, is that really the good slide? One moment. Okay, yes, it is. Video comes and goes. With that, I mean, if you put a filmmaker and let him make videos, it's a disaster. Because he spends forever in editing on every tiny detail. Hey, dude, you have to make one a week, remember? Not one film production a year, yeah? Video comes and goes. Also, video doesn't stick really well. If you explain the gospel on video, it takes time to enter. That's why we always produce series. And eternally grateful, brother. Really, for a long time. Okay. It doesn't stick very well, which means that if you make a series, and we always make series in video, we never do a single production. If you make a series, you have to realize that one program might be better than the other. Okay? That's life. And then we move on to the next one, next program. So that's a real character of, yes, okay. Here is another one. Video communicates feelings better than facts, which is a problem for the gospel. Because we preachers, hey, I'm a preacher. We preachers really like to teach you something. We want to bring across some facts of salvation. Okay? You have the blood of the Lamb, and you mix it, and out comes grace, etc. We need to teach them step by step. And you miss totally what the strong point of video is. Video communicates stronger in the area of feeling than in any other area. And that's a weakness and that's a strength, because there is nothing that can communicate so strongly, even music, on the area of feeling than just video. Okay? Let me try this. I'm trying to play a movie now. Nah. Help me out, Mark. Where am I? Okay. He's doing all kinds of things. I think it's this one. It's slide number 9. Slide number 9. You're on slide 5. Okay. Oh, play. No. I had a video here. No, that's still slide number 5. Let's keep going. Go down your way. We have to go to slide number 9. There you go. Now that has to play. Can you hit play or the space bar or something like that? No, that's the next one. It doesn't want to play, huh? That really is bad. Okay. Then without the video, you just have to believe it. Yeah. Yeah. How to get that thing to play. That's becoming a problem here. Okay, the next thing is character-driven. It's character-driven. I'll give you an example. I was in Africa, in Western Africa, and they were producing programs. And they have this thing about pastors. Everything is this. Is it working? Looks like it. Yeah? Yeah, it's working. Sound? No sound? Sound. So these were the last words that this girl, I think 19 years old, wrote in a diary the day before she was shot at this Columbine shooting, school shooting. And forgiveness will not change the past. Forgiveness will change the future. Do you have any comments on this video? What do you think of this video? Not all at once, please. What? Feeling driven, yeah? Very much. It communicates like a freight train. Yes, it goes directly to the heart. Now, another thing is, what is the message of the video? Forgiveness. It's a very short message. It's not complicated. if you go more and more and more complicated, you're not in the area of video anymore. Understand this? Okay. Character-driven. Media, video is character-driven. What do I mean with that? Okay, in Africa you had these pastors and they would come together and they say, okay, what kind of programs we want to have on television as our national church? And then say, okay, everybody is dying here of AIDS, so let's do a program about AIDS. And there's poverty, so let's do a program about starting small businesses, and so on, etc. Was that a good idea? No, because video is not topic-driven. Video is character-driven, which is totally opposite the way of what a preacher thinks. Because they totally missed that in their teenage group, there was a young guy, he was in his 20s, and he loved to play football on the street with all the people who lived on the street, all the kids there. He was funny. He was great with the kids loved him, and he was telling them the gospel. He was, television made flesh. Almost this person, you know? He was ideal for television, this character. And it's true. In fact, it's one of the reasons why it's difficult to work in television, because a lot of people in front of the camera are a little bit crazy. Because you find a lot of weird characters there in that world. And that's where they belong, because it's video. And it's character-driven, and if you have a very mellow, not very visible character, it's difficult to make video of you. You understand? If I ask people, what is your favorite program that you watch? What's your favorite program? Yeah, you were yawning, you were asking for it. So, okay, what's your favorite program? Yeah. You don't have a favorite program, okay? Well, a lot of people have a favorite program, and if you listen well, almost always they like the presenter, or they like the character who plays in that, or they like the humor that is used in it. The topic itself becomes almost irrelevant. Yes, it's character-driven. And do we need a good preacher for video? No, sorry for the preachers. That's not the first thing we need. We need funny preachers. Yes, we need real characters. We need people who do controversial stuff, etc., and who knows how to bring it in a good way, you know? Okay. So that's one thing. Here I come with the next video, Mark.
Here's what you need to do. You've got to first shave your head. You dress all in black. You've got to wear a white robe, eat only kosher foods. You've got to become a vegetarian. You face Jerusalem. You've got to face India when you pray. You pray only in Hebrew, and you grow a nice big beard. And if you do all of those outward cultural things, you'll discover the God of the universe. And I'm thinking, this is crazy that someone thinks that they can force their culture on God, and that God's going to be impressed by what you wear, what direction you face when you pray, what you eat, and all these sorts of things. Okay. It seemed to me that if there was a God out there who could be known, he should be able to be recognized no matter where I face, no matter how I'm dressed, because he's God. Growing up...
Okay, thank you, Mark. Okay. So, here's a character. The Jewish website on doing testimonies is awesome. They really make an art form of doing websites. Did you like this way? Yeah? It's a little bit messy. It's great, yeah. But his character comes out. And yeah. Okay. Here. Another thing that is very typical of video, you need to be found among millions of competitors. So, bummer. So, that's life. So you need to be unique in your own presentation. You need to be presented and be found. If the core of your message is halfway, your 45-minute teaching, you're not going to be found, okay? So, video is a little bit like fog, fishing in the fog. You throw your line out, you can't even see your sinker. Yeah? And that if you work in video, you never meet the people. It's very different than being an evangelist. Then you talk to real people. Here you just talk into thin air. And so that's part of it. There's very little contact between your audience and you. And to do this for year after year, well, you need to be really motivated. I can still remember the first time that I made a video and it was shown to a big group. It was horrifying to me. Because when I thought they should be laughing, they were not laughing. And when they were laughing, I thought, what's funny? Yeah? It wasn't meant to be funny. So I was very out of touch with your audience. Okay. It comes and goes. Yeah, it comes and goes, it doesn't come. So, unlike film, video is made in series. And we can create an audience. The whole thing is not that people watch it, but that people watch a series. Why? If people watch it and that's it, the next time you put a video, or your video disappears to the bottom of the list on YouTube. It's hard to find it even. I made videos that I put on YouTube. Man, I cannot find them anymore. And so it depends. If people click on watching the next video, that puts you back on the list. The computer remembers that or sees that and they say, okay, this is effective. So, I'd like to show a video here, if it works. No, back one. There you go.
Прежде чем разобраться в том, как снимать телепередачи, поговорим об основополагающих принципах того, как в целом работает коммуникация. Когда заходит речь о съемке передачи, нельзя полагаться исключительно на собственное представление. Существуют основные законы передачи информации, понимание которых вам очень поможет. Давайте рассмотрим некоторые из них. Первый закон. Помните о связи между содержанием и атмосферой передачи. Содержание – главная идея, которую мы желаем донести зрителям. Какие факты мы желаем передать им. Атмосфера же – эмоциональная окраска нашей передачи. Радостная или серьезная, мрачная или светлая. На атмосферу влияют многие факторы. Использование юмора, характер ведущего, оформление студии, цвета в графических заставках, фоновая музыка и так далее. Итак, с одной стороны у нас смысловая составляющая, а с другой – атмосфера, настроение. Как эти две составляющие соотносятся между собой? Общение, передача информации – это как динамитная шашка. Внутри взрывчатка, которая сама по себе опасна. И при неосторожном обращении может взорваться в руках. Сама по себе она бесполезна. Но люди методом проб и ошибок определили, что если окружить взрывчатку слоем особого вещества, она становится безопасна. Ее можно держать в руках, и взрывается она только когда надо. что в разы повышает возможность ее применения. То же самое в общении. В его центре определенное послание. В нашем случае откровение Творца своему творению. Это побуждает нас, христиан, идти работать в СМИ. Нам есть что сказать этому миру. Послание Бога людям содержит в себе огромный потенциал, подобно динамиту, способный двигать горы. Но его необходимо окружить нужной эмоциональной атмосферой, чтобы люди смогли его воспринять. Например, содержание рекламы напитка очень простое. Вот хороший напиток. Но оно окружено сильнейшей эмоциональной атмосферой, например, праздничное застолье, где все веселятся и всем хорошо, потому что они употребляют этот напиток. Возможно, так бы его рекламировали, например, в Норвегии. В Италии бы показали, как все село танцует на улице, а в небе сверкают фейерверки, потому что они употребляют именно этот напиток. Атмосфера, которой вы окружите содержание, зависит как от самого содержания, так и культуры, в которой вы работаете. Например, когда в Библии Бог учредил для евреев закон, Он сделал это с высокой горы, окутанной дымом, с громом и молниями. Когда Иисус произносил Нагорную проповедь и слова «блаженны кроткие, ибо они наследуют землю», Он стоял на склоне красивого холма, в небе пели птицы, а слушатели сидели на траве. Но если поменять местами атмосферу в этих двух событиях, то суровый закон на мягкой траве и Нагорная проповедь в дыму и молниях не звучали бы так убедительно. Они были бы восприняты не так. Иисус прекрасно разбирался в том, какие слова и в какой атмосфере должны быть произнесены, да еще и сопровождал свои учения примерами из жизни и притчами, в которых моделировались самые разные ситуации, а все для того, чтобы правильно донести людям свои идеи. Итак, ключ к правильной передаче информации – создание правильной атмосферы или настроения для правильного содержания. Этот навык вам придется отрабатывать, если вы, например, намерены снимать фильмы, будь то художественные или документальные. Как создать правильное настроение? Есть определенные средства, о которых мы уже говорили. Например, музыка. Она очень важна. Кроме того, на атмосферу влияет освещение, место съемки или оформление студии, даже цветовая гамма в оформлении, скорость переключения между разными ракурсами, степень напряжения или юмора в обсуждении темы. Все это создает определенную атмосферу, настроение, которое может увлечь, либо наоборот. Рассмотрим пару примеров. На ток-шоу люди сидят друг напротив друга. Можете предположить, о чем они будут говорить? Правильно, о политике. Поскольку они сидят далеко друг от друга, значит, говорят о чем-то отвлеченном, что конкретно их не касается. Здесь же уже все по-другому. Люди сидят намного ближе друг к другу. Атмосфера гораздо более личная. Чувствуется, что они говорят о чем-то глубоко личном. Следует признать, что идея, преподнесенная в неправильной атмосфере, не коснется сердец зрителей. Если же вы увлечетесь созданием настроения, забыв о смысле содержания, у вас получится бесполезная пустышка. Чтобы правильно донести свое послание, нужно и то, и другое. Для нас, создателей передач, всегда существует риск потери баланса. А теперь немного практики. Посмотрите несколько телепередач и определите, какие элементы в них создают настроение. А если возможно, посмотрите передачи, которые вы сделали сами. Проанализируйте, как в них создается атмосфера и отвечает ли она внутреннему содержанию.
So, what do you think? The atmosphere, the feeling of the program, it's more than just do something and put it on the internet, okay? I have noticed in the last 20 years or so, I've visited many different groups and organizations that were involved in video production. And I've noticed some of the problems that they all seem to share. And I think it's just fair, that's why I started with that Jesus said you have to count the cost. it's fair that if you want to step into video production, that it's good to listen to the experience of all the others who've done that before and to see what are the issues that they run into. So I call this section Trouble in Paradise. Okay. Now, problems often found in Christian video production. Okay, one thing is isolation. And that is huge, huge, on many different levels. You are a group in a church and you do video production. You're never in contact with any other people who do production. I mean, you could create a monster and not even know it. Because you're not in contact with others, okay? And it's by default almost. Most of the organization groups I worked for were 3-4 people, okay? You are creatively in isolation very often because you know how to get creative? Be surrounded by other creative people. By myself, personally, I am as creative as cement. Yeah? But if I'm in a little group, suddenly it starts to and all kinds of ideas come up. Okay, if you're surrounded by other creative people, that helps, that does it to you. Yeah. And there is creativity, lack of competition. That's a huge one. That's a huge issue in Christian media. Where is the competition? Yeah. When I worked in television, everything was competition. Everything. That was the basis of the whole production. In church video or in Christian TV, very often they work in their studio and they focus on the lights and on that the sound is good, etc. They keep doing the same thing year after year. And nobody is actually challenging them that they're losing, they're losing the battle in the area of competition. Now, where does the competition come from? That comes from the audience. Yes? They decide if you're old-fashioned, not you. Right? So they decide if you just keep doing the same thing for too long. So that is the key of it. Then there is the isolation. Work ethics, big one. I have a nephew who used to be a carpenter. Then he bought a camera and he became an extremely worldwide famous filmmaker. He made an incredible film, The Children of God, it's called. And it was successful all over the world. And but this is a couple of years ago. I said, so what are you doing now? And he said, well, I'm freelance. I'm hiring myself out as a cameraman. And so I said, what are you learning there? And he said, oh, I'm learning so much. Especially my attitude. My attitude to employers, to people who employ you. That is, etc. Anybody works here in a video team? Anybody works here in a video team? Okay. Do you call the boss? Not really, not often. That has a downside. Yes? If you have a lack of work ethos, how do you say that? Ethos, I believe. There is a lack of discipline. There's a discussion about anything, etc. That is a real killer, a real difficult one to overcome. Isolation, lack of training and technical knowledge. I'm sometimes astonished how far behind some groups are. It's just like, hey, dude, this is 2018, right? This is not 1998. So it's amazing. It's amazing. I push and push that you will keep equipment around. For instance, if you buy cameras, if you keep equipment around until the second-hand price of that equipment drops, and then you sell it. Okay, and buy new equipment. Absolutely. I know a whole number of organizations that kept their old equipment, and then the whole world moved from 4x3 to 19x6 thing. They couldn't sell it for scrap metal, what they had. Nobody in his right mind wants this type of equipment. So, yeah. Also, there are very simple and smart ways of doing that. For instance, this morning I was just getting an email about a plugin that gives smoke. That can create smoke in your shot. Hey, that changes the way I make a music video. That'd be fun, okay? Well, it used to be incredibly difficult to get effects like this. So, etc. Okay, there is the organizational structure. When I worked in YWAM, Youth with a Mission, and we sometimes called it Youth Without Any Money, but that was an incredible thing. We didn't have a real structure in the team. And there was leadership, we sort of decided things together, which gave a lot of discussions about everything. So there's a real struggle with it, especially in a lot of organizations that are, a pastor sort of decides everything. And that trickles down and you find a whole group of guys in the video department totally frustrated because the pastor doesn't get it. Yeah? That kind of feel. And it's a real struggle. Here is a big one. A lack of conflict. Okay, we were doing a little survey on what to do the next program on, and somebody came up with the idea, let's take the topic of children dying in traffic. And in the program. Okay. Is that a good topic? No? Yes? Who says yes? The rest says, I don't trust you. It must be bad. Okay? So, okay. Who is in favor that children are dying in traffic? Nobody? Who is against that people are dying in traffic? Yeah, all of you. Where's the conflict? It's everybody is saying, oh, yes. Yes, brother, yes. There's no conflict. And Christian media has the real danger of always saying yes to each other. Oh, yes, I agree with you. Yes, I agree. And it becomes like you get a stiff neck of just watching it, you know? Yes, brother. Extremely boring. Because by definition, especially when pastors who have a shepherd heart, they hate conflict. They do anything to avoid conflict, I hope. Media makers do anything to create conflict. We really want conflict. Now, why is that so important? Can somebody think with me? Sorry? It goes viral. Exactly. The very, very most successful Christian production ever done was a series still going on. It was with a guy who was on live television in Egypt, and he was a priest. He was black robe and so on. And he would have, let's say, I was present with a program that was about violence in the house. And he says, everybody who is not protesting against violence in the house cannot be a follower of a true God. This is in Egypt, okay? This is actually in the Arab world. Okay? So question yourself, does your religion approve or disapprove of you beating your wife? And then they had somebody calling in. And that was an imam. They always hope that the imams call in. And he says, I'm sorry, you are disrespectful to the Quran and to the Hadith. And you're disrespectful. And etc. because it says this and this and this. And then they said, okay, we have a next caller. And they set it up. They had a lady ready at the phone. And she said, are you crazy? Are you approving the fact that my husband beats me every day? Every single day. And you say, God approves of this? What kind of religion are you spreading? That imam exploded. He just lost it. You could hear the steam coming through his telephone, you know. And I think smoke must have come out of his ears. You lady, you try to. And he says, and then the presenter says, well, Jesus was very different than you, Mr. Imam, etc. That's how it went. And they took those 10 minutes, put it on YouTube, and they had 1.5 million viewers within a day. Okay? These people know how to use conflict. Now the question is, how can you create conflict? That's not as hard as you think, because you can play the devil's advocate. Do you understand that term? The devil's advocate. You say, well, sorry, if you're saying left cheek, right cheek. Now, if I tell my neighbor that, you know, he would immediately start to hit me. Yeah? You play the devil's, I know somebody who would be very angry if you say this, etc. You can create in discussions this. Jesus did not really avoid conflict. He really he almost was looking for it. Yes? We are very much warned in the Bible to not be saltless. Is that a word? Saltless? To be, not lose the taste of the salt in our speaking. Yes, is that a term? Do you understand it? So, that one is a good one. Yay. Okay, church language. Now, I'm saved by the blood of the Lamb. Doesn't that stain, you know, on your clothes? The blood of the Lamb? You know, it's like, what? What? I mean, all my clothes have to go to the laundry after I'm saved then. It's church language. It doesn't mean a thing to someone outside. And we must remember, we're not standing in a church. This is mass media. There are many things preachers says that are totally out of order. They're totally not correct. Nobody will understand this. And this is, I found Jesus. And someone else would say, I had no idea he was lost. Yeah? So we have all these things and we need to think through a lot of it. It's really difficult to get rid of church language when you're doing mass media. Okay? Another thing is we are detached of the world. That's a strong one. We are away from the topics that the world is talking about. Now, first of all, if you're talking about the role of the sacrifices in the Old Testament, you will never be found on YouTube. Understand that? That is not, you're detached from what is happening in the church. If you make a YouTube about refugees, what to do with them, okay, etc., and link that to, well, God accepted you, so be a little bit more merciful to strangers, you know? So, relationship trouble with the church or with the other organization above it. This happens so often. You have to realize that the devil really likes to get into a small organization. And it only takes 1 or 2 emails that are taken wrong and you've got a bomb. Relationship problems are a killer that the devil uses. Okay. Here. Ownership. You think, what? He says, no. Our church made this, so it's ours. You cannot use it. Yeah? That happens a lot, more than you think. And it's not exactly kingdom thinking. So I use copyright. And then I said, you have the right to copy. Okay? And but if you copy, do it right. Okay? This one. A square in a round hole. I like that image there. You know, he's like, Production in a volunteer organization environment. I'll tell you a little story. I was at a big church in Rotterdam, and they had a team of 40 people. They were every week on TV. And they were rotating cameramen and so on. And they had a real issue in their team. And somebody was stupid enough to ask me if I could talk to the entire team, because they had quarrels and they had all kinds of issues. So I placed a camera in the middle and I asked the guys to stand around in a circle. I looked for the most beautiful but shy girl and I said, can you please take behind the camera? I said, now, can everybody watch her face? And pay close attention to her face. Yes? And I said, now, okay, grab the camera. Okay, look at her face, look at her face, look at her face. Let go of the camera. Can you see the difference? And everybody went, no, I don't see the difference. He said, oh, you guys are blind. I said, she totally, okay, grab that camera. And she turned really red, because everybody was looking at her like intensely. And he said, no, okay, got it. Burn it in your memory. Let go of that camera. And she let go and he said, well, totally obvious, right? And I said, no, we can't see it. We can't see the difference. She said, there's a huge difference. When she lets go, she is our sweet sister, and we love it that she is in the church. Yeah? When she grabs that camera, we can fire her. Right? Now, we can say, please, sister, find a ministry that you're good at. Yes? You suck at this. Okay? So, because firing somebody in a church is like, it's like cursing in the church, You don't do that. That's not brotherly like. So, hey, it is a square in a round hole. You're putting a production factory in your church that exists of only volunteers. So how do you make a factory in a group that only consists of volunteers? It's against the culture in the church to do that. And that's what I mean by a square in a round hole. I haven't figured out what is the square and what is the round hole, but anyway. Okay. So, okay, these are things, these are issues that I've come across from one group to another. And in Christ, we can conquer every issue. But we need wisdom to do that, and we need to be prepared to face all this. Okay, do you have a smart idea on how to prevent that? Are you taking a picture of me? How can you prevent that you're alone, that you're isolated? This your team leader can prevent that. Can we visit someone else or etc. So you have to battle the battles before they actually start to become a major problem. Okay, understanding the role of tension and conflict. Again, I'll go back to the tension. Yes. And so that, again, is one of the key parts of communication that you're in. Please find an issue, a topic, that is that has that built in. If you're making a blog, a video blog, does anybody of you make video blogs? Not all at once, please. Yeah, you make a video blog? One of the things you could do is you get your selfie stick out or go on the street and then say to somebody, hey, buddy, what do you think of how we should treat immigrants here? And he will say, well, we need to kick them out. And he says, isn't that a bit harsh, And etc. And then he goes back in front of his iMac, and he leans towards his camera and says, yeah, people are hard, huh? I mean, can you imagine? Probably his grandpa immigrated to Holland, and imagine he would hear his grandson say that, So you could do the depth of your message behind your computer in a closer environment, and you could do the fun part in discussions you do with a selfie stick outside. It's just an example that you can create tension on it. Okay. So, Christians, media often avoid tension and conflict, so everybody agrees with one another and say yes to it. So it makes flat programs, which basically is boring. We have to remember our audience is spoiled because they have so much media. They're constantly bombarded by media. By now, they know what is well produced or badly produced. And you're always compared to others. So no mercy in that thing. Okay, here. A sudden change of topic can be very instrumental on how you do things. See, the whole key of good media is change. You suddenly start to have a change in the mood, change in the music, or a change in the topic. That really is effective because suddenly people wake up again, and suddenly they think, oh, okay, oh yeah. So you see that how Jesus did that. Beautiful. He had a short story, and then boom, went into a completely different story. So that is the art. It's one of the key factors of making good video, and that's why the basics of what I'm doing now is not very good, because I could just keep talking and keep talking. If I would continue in Dutch, nobody would notice. Ja? En geen enkel probleem, je kan het zo doen, maar het heeft geen enkele zin. So we are facing a real challenge in making media that breaks that mold, that somehow makes these changes and corners. So you can go from very sad to very sturdy and fast, and then you have your audience again. And it's a key of making good programs. So there's lots of challenges to be done. Okay, one last thing. I thoroughly believe that this thing has to do with the end times. Sorry, it's a private thing. You probably disagree with me. Maybe not. But these are very, very strange times. And things are prepping up. Things are speeding up. Dangers all over the world are getting worse and worse. Man, I watch the Weather Channel here. I don't have that at home, but there's a lot of storms around. Yes? So things are getting more and more serious and dramatic. We're almost getting used to nuclear threats. It's just unbelievable. It's come that far, you know? I mean, 10 years ago, we would be scared out of our socks. So, but in the same time, we now have a technique that is very easy to use. My 6-year-old granddaughter did her first editing, and I was proud of it. There was only one edit mistake in it. Okay? She's 6-year-old. She started editing on her iPhone with iMovie. We now have a completely different way of learning. Everybody learns everything by YouTube. We now have film schools. They're struggling. Why? Because a lot of students already made their first film before they never went to a film school. So they're already half taught, and so they know everything. We now have media in the palm of our hand. We can create media everywhere we go. I can film something, I can edit, and I can send it, all from one tiny little, flat little device that is very accessible, which is unbelievable. If I watch on the airport, I mean, it's like, what, 75% is bored and is watching his iPhone, reading the news or whatever. I mean, the whole world is on it. And that is, to me, we now have a possibility of bringing the gospel, first of all, by non-professionals, which was not possible, 15 years ago? It was just not possible. By non-professionals, teenagers can do it if they learn how to have something to say, yeah? And anybody basically can make videos and put it online. And that is something the world has never, ever seen. I just found out that last week they brought out this little thing, and you tape it behind your vest, yeah? It's a microphone, and you click on it, and it starts recording. Then you do your iPhone shooting, maybe with 2, 3, 4 iPhones at the same time. When you're done, you walk to that microphone that is hidden in his sweater, and you put your iPhone close to it, and automatically it starts to download all the audio it has recorded, and then it links it back to the video. Okay? So, I mean, you don't have to be a rocket science to figure this out, how to work it. You don't need to learn complicated software to do this. And this is what we have in these days. And we now have video for dummies, basically. And if you are anything above a dummy, I mean, you have nothing to fear, basically, yeah? So that is such a powerful thing in these days. And it belongs in this period of the history of the world, basically. Because now we can go over borders. You know, I have nearly been killed a whole number of times because I grabbed a camera and I filmed something. I filmed in the most extreme mosques in the world, and they tried to kill me. Now it wouldn't be a problem. I just raised my iPhone. Okay, I'm fine. Yeah? Nobody would make a problem. I mean, the times I was arrested, I was chased, I was beaten, I was stoned, I was caught by secret police. I was imprisoned. I was taken prisoner by a drug gang, etc. in the Muslim world. Man, if I had only had an iPhone, I mean, that would have saved me so many bruises and so many misery in that thing. I mean, you guys have got it easy. You have absolutely no excuse to not do video. So it's this is the time. This is the time, and we are in a hurry. We are really in a hurry because everybody is overwhelmed by the amount of media around them. Totally overwhelmed, and we need to get our message in there. Okay? Thank you.